Hey all, this is Ryan Monso, and this is the Talking About Them Cougars podcast from GoCougs.com. I'm with Brad Towns, and tonight we're going to talk to Eddie Nunez, the new AD at U of H. We're also going to talk with Mike Pitman from Star Pizza, talk about marketing U of H athletes and why that came about and what his future plans are. But first,
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
all right, here we go. But before we start, a word for Star Pizza, our friends, 3 locations, lunch specials every day of the work week. Tuesdays and Fridays, you got the buffet with a drink, $13.95. Why aren't you doing that? These people support U of H and U of H athletes nonstop. And they are so good to basketball and football players, women's basketball players, even kickers. So check them out.
Hey, they count too.
They do count. We'll say that every day of the week. Star Pizza.
We love our specialists.
Check them out. We are going to bring in Eddie Nunez. Let's fix something real quick. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to bring in Eddie Nunez, who was here 10 minutes early, and we appreciate that quite a bit. Eddie, how's it going? You've been here a little over 2 weeks. Have you fixed anything?
Have I fixed anything? I hope so.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I've hopefully gotten across is the expectation of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. But it's been a great 2.5 weeks. I would tell you, really in the grind, trying to understand as much as I can understand. But it's been a great ride so far.
If you were to tell a fan who's kind of a casual fan what your expectations are, what's that pitch?
Expectations are simple. We're going to do things at the highest level. And what I've been trying to tell everybody and our whole staff and everything else is we've got the vision of what we're trying to do is to do it at the level that everyone would expect us to do it. It's not do it halfway. It's do it to the best of our ability. I think a lot of people had this understanding of this goal that we wanted to be in the Big 12. Well, that's great. That's the first box that we checked. The reality is we're here. We deserve to be here. Now let's take that next step, not just be here, but let's do some things that are really going to set a tone for the future of Cougar athletics. So that's the vision that I'm trying to instill, focusing on the internal side, really trying to make sure our staff understands those expectations, the sense of urgency, really more than anything else, understands that the vision is clear. We're going to work together to try to make sure that everybody out there understands how we do it. And then, of course, we've got plenty of other things that we can do, but more than anything else, it's reassuring everybody that we have to get out there. We have to build the brand. We have to get in the community. All the things that we know are important that are really going to help us elevate our program.
Have you identified anything in the last couple of weeks as a priority that you've kind of found out since you've been here?
I think everybody knows a lot of the priorities are trying to generate more revenue. And I think that's important. And it's really more than anything else. It's growing the revenue, the multimedia rights, our fundraising, our premium areas, trying to make all those areas bigger and better. But at the same time, we have to figure out how to make sure our operational costs and what we spend, that our resources match our expectations. They truly have to. And so when we talk about the resources that we have, it's not just what we're raising, it's also making sure that we have the ability to continue to run the operations at the highest level that we can, because everyone else in our league is going to continue to grow and they're going to continue. So we've got some steps to take. That's something that I've seen already very quickly. But the biggest thing that I think from my standpoint that I am noticing more and more is the willingness of individuals in the community wanting to hear more, wanting to get involved, wanting to be a part of what we're trying to build here. And that to me is energizing me every day, because the more I get in front of those individuals, the better we're going to be.
How do you tie those expectations to revenue?
There's a lot of ways. I think the expectations at the end of the day are trying to do everything at a high level. And you've seen it with our basketball program. You've seen it with other programs. We had a great run yesterday. Willie did a great job with the football game with that team. Those guys came and competed with you saw the heart, the passion that they played with. That's showing everybody how we're going to perform. That's just two examples. We've got 17 sports here, and they all do a great job. Our track programs are, and so on. I go down the line. The reality is we have to show them that those expectations are what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And that's all that's going to do is get individuals interested in Cougar athletics, how to be more part of how we can build this. We are the University of Houston. We want everyone to feel proud about that. And, of course, we're playing that school that's also in the city this week. And, we're going to do our part to make sure that we represent this city. And we want those companies to know that they can be a part of not just a program that carries themselves at a high level, but also wins championships.
Outside of revenue and NIL, have you identified anything that needs to be a priority today?
There's a lot of things that need to be a priority. Okay. I think what I've realized is there's I have to take a step back and figure out what I can tackle first, because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, and those low-hanging fruit doesn't mean that they're things that have that put us in this position. It's really more than anything else. It's because things are changing in our industry. We saw this past week the House case, again, another iteration of what's going on with that. So all those things are making it so that there's some things that are evolving that we can take advantage of, some others that we can't. We have to wait. So from my standpoint, there's a lot of things that I have found. What I'm trying to do right now is really focus internally, making sure that our staff understands how to carry themselves, what we're trying to do, how to service our student athletes and service our fans, because we're the service industry. So everything we do has to be to give back to those individuals that come enjoy the Cougars. So the more we can do that, then the external side will see everything coming to light. So, like I said, there's a lot of priorities for me. More than anything else is listening. I've got to listen. I've got to hear all the ins and outs, and there's plenty of it. But even something as simple. And I don't know if I know you guys are big in social media. I entertain it every once in a while, and I think people saw this.
It's dangerous out there.
It is. It's a very, very delicate world that you got to make sure that you navigate. But this weekend I had the ability to go to have breakfast with Joe Castiglione, the AD at Oklahoma, a great friend, and he mentioned that he wanted to continue to do something to help their campus food bank. So he tells me this on Thursday. Friday, I go to our food bank, visit it, took a look at it, see the issues that they're facing. That our food bank, our students' food bank, not our student athletes, our students on campus, and the need of how important something like that is. So for me to be able to meet with some of our donors, get them to support a little bit in that area as much as they can, whatever they can do, but more than anything else, help the students grow this food bank. And so something as simple as that, it isn't just about athletics. It's about growing the university, helping all students. And if the students see that we are in this to help them, then hopefully they'll turn around and come support our student athletes, because we're all in this together.
You went a couple different ways there, and I want to hit on a few things. Somebody in our chat just said, how would you describe the University of Houston brand?
A very traditional, has a lot of tradition, a lot of brand recognition in our industry. I think for a good percentage of the time there, I think it just you saw the successes at different sports, different places. You saw the brand elevate itself over the last. Honestly, I thought with basketball, the way it's grown, some of the other programs really has helped that brand come back. Now going into the Big 12 has really elevated it to a whole nother level. So I know it's a premier brand. I know there's others out there that are bigger and have been more established for a long time, and that's great. I'm here to make UH brand the best it can be, and if we do that, then we're going to be leaps and bounds from where we are today, and that's my goal. It's not here to compete against anyone as far as building a brand bigger and better than somebody else. It's building ours the best we can, and if we do that, we're going to be in an unbelievable situation.
Brad, what you got?
What is your, I guess, what is your kind of, can you share with us a plan of how you think we can go about generating more revenue from tickets, from merchandising, from licensing? As we're coming into the point where we're going to be getting an equal share, that's going to be one of the biggest differentiators. So how are you going to, what's your ideas of being able to attack that?
Well, I think we've got to be creative. That's the first thing. We can't sit here and continue to do things the way we've done them in the past. And I've seen it in some instances. I'm not going to say across the board, but I've seen in some instances that we do things because that's the way they've been done. There's others that you've seen steps forward because we went into the Big 12. So you've seen some of these areas kind of grow a little bit, but we've got to get in front of these, our partners. There are partners. This can't be a one-sided deal. It has to be reciprocal. They have to understand from my side that we are in it to help them just as much as they're in to help us. So creativity, looking at ways that we could do things differently. I know social media has loved to send me ideas of where we can put more signage in our football stadium. Don't get me wrong. I might not respond to everything, but I do see them at times. So to all those that are sending me those things and all the wonderful gear and apparel that we can do differently, we have to look at all these areas. We have to see how our sports shop does things, how our branding, our merchandise. When you look at our Nike partnership, how can we help elevate that so that our fans have the same gear that they see our coaches with? I know it's a big question always. How do we talk to them? And I feel very strongly about the relationship that we have with Nike, that we can help that brand build even further. So it's really looking and trying to tap into every area we can. Again, I go back to our multimedia rights. That's a big component of this because as we talk about revenue sharing, as we talk about NIL, that has to be we're married together. I am all in when it comes to helping our student athletes when it gets to revenue share. I'm all into helping with NIL. I want to do that to the best of our ability. But I also will tell you, we need our donors to continue to do what they're doing for our department and go above and beyond with NIL. And I know it can be done. I have no doubt. I've already seen it in the short time that I've been here. Individuals that are continuing to do what they've done always for Houston Athletics, and now they're saying, you know what, I feel better. Let's start talking about this NIL. That's what we want to have. And at the same time, those partnerships which I started with, that's going to be a part of this because I left New Mexico just a short time ago, and right before I left, we signed a 3-year deal with a bank, basically because we had already a partner with the athletics. They still wanted to do things with our student athletes, so we basically pushed them, talked to them, and encouraged them to do something with our NIL, our collective. They signed a 3-year deal with $500,000 a year. That's the kind of creativity that we need to say, you know what, we're still in this, and at some point they might be bigger partners with athletics. But if we can keep them on board and still help athletics and our student athletes, that's where we have to look at things differently.
Can you speak to the multimedia rights? What exactly do you mean by that?
That's all our corporate sponsors, everything you see. So when you look at our games and you listen to our radio shows and you hear all those partners of ours, proud partner of, it might be with hospital partners, it might be with banks, it might be with restaurants, it might be with, you have Raising Cane's to, I could give you a litany of different, from Coca-Cola, everything. All those partners have a special relationship with us that either it's through product or it's just assisting us growing our brand, helping financially. And so all those different things, we have to grow that group. There is no reason why in a city like Houston that has so many unbelievable businesses. So, and I'm not even talking about the Fortune 500, whatever. I'm talking about all the local restaurants and the local businesses that want to be a part somehow, some way. Well, how do we get them involved? And that's my whole thing is everybody can be a part of this team. This isn't just the exclusive group. We might have different levels, but at the end of the day, everything is going back to help our student athletes.
A lot of everyday fans have felt that this department has not listened to them in a long time. They feel excluded. Big donors are listened to. People that give money are listened to, but the fans aren't. How do you connect to those people?
They're going to see me out there. They're going to see us. First, it will take time. It will take time because they're going to have to build trust with me, and I'm going to have to be able to show them and be accountable for what we can do. And so I think that part of that relationship is those individuals trusting us, but we have to be better. Again, I can't sit here and say how are things done with my predecessor or that staff. Pesman's a great individual. I know him. He's a friend. I know what they did here, and the way I look at things for me is we have to do things a little bit different. Just because I'm going to do things differently, it's just a different way. It's not that it's right or wrong or whose is better. It's a different way, and I hope that the way that we can connect with our fans, it's as simple as walking around and talking to them. I mean, the first football game, if anybody saw me standing still for probably more than a handful of minutes, it was unique because I found myself not just going through all the premium areas, but the field, the stands. Actually, at one point I was on I don't even know what side it is, the visitor side. I don't know if it's east, west, north, south. I'm still trying to figure out my head spinning most of the time anyway. So, but I went up to the concourse behind the visitor side, and I just walked around and said hello to people. I mean, I had some people give me I heard somebody tell me that, why isn't there restrooms up in the upper deck? Well, I couldn't tell you, but I guess what? I'm going to look into it. Am I going to result that this year? Probably not. But the reality is I need to know those things. So as long as they can feel like they have the ability to come talk to not just me, but my entire staff, I want my staff to be visible. I want them to be out there. You're going to see my staff out there, and they're going to be engaged. They're going to talk. We're going to try to improve the game day experience. That's how you build trust with our fan base.
I had so many people talk to me Saturday, just amazed that the AD was at their tailgate, that he was walking around, that he was talking to people. I mean, it made a difference. People noticed that. What else did you learn about the game day experience when you were walking around outside the stadium, getting into the stadium, concessions, everything?
Yeah, first I want to say this about the fans. The reason why I go around is to say thank you to them. If they're willing to come out here in early enough to set up those tailgates, to set up those motorhomes, to do what they do, I need to come by and just say thank you. And so you're going to see that consistently. Am I going to hit everybody like I tried to do this past weekend? Probably some games I will, some I won't, but I'll be visible. But when it comes to learning, one of the things I learned is, look, there's parking issues that I had people coming up and asking me, well, why can't I park there? And I didn't have an answer, of course. This is 4 days in. So I took it down. I wrote it down. I asked those questions. And I want to make sure that we educate our fans before the next game and say, okay, these are the reasons, or this is what's happening. Going into the game, we've got to be better. We've got to take advantage of areas around the stadium. We do a good job. There's some great things we do. How can we do things a little bit better, more efficient, that give our fans a chance? And then I want to grow the tailgating experience. I spent a lot of, good percentage of my career at LSU. And I went around the SEC. I went around so many great places. I saw what tailgating is about. There's no reason why we can't do that. And so we're going to have to try to grow it. try to do it right. But I'm also going to make sure that we do it so that the experience is what people want and it's done right. Look, I don't want it to get out of control and then we have issues with safety or I want it to be the best experience we can do it for the families, for the fans, for our students. But I also want to commend our department. They made a decision last year to move the students from the grass area to the street to Cullen, and all responses off the first game was it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I went and said hello to all those student groups, and they loved it. So those are things that I'm glad they did. They made that decision. The better we're going to be. The more of those we can do, the better everybody's going to be.
You talking about tailgating is music to my ears. One of the things that brought a lot of people back in 2008 to 2011, 2012 was tailgating. Now, we didn't have a massive group of tailgaters, but we had a good sized group that just grew organically. People just started showing up. And we built it. You can't compare hardly anything to LSU, but it was like a little small vertical slice of that. Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost it with the new stadium because everything had to move. We were right where the new building is going to be. So it gets me really excited when you talk about tailgating, because I think that draws, at least I know of at least 10 or 11 people that told me if it wasn't for the tailgating, they would have never stuck around. Just because college football is an event. The games come and go, but people come back for the event.
It's everything, and that's why when everybody asks, what are we going to do about the game day experience, it's not just what happens in the stadium. I mean, sure, that's a big part of it, but it's parking, it's traffic, it's communication, it's getting in and out of the stadium, but it's tailgating, and it's that whole atmosphere. I told many during my walkthrough last Saturday, not this past Saturday, the one before our first home game, and a lot of them told me, look, it used to be this way. It used to be that way. Well, listen, I buildings have been erected, things have grown, streets have been added where they weren't before. How are we going to make what we have today the best we can make it? Taking the mindset of what made those things good in the past, how do we replicate it today? So it's not about saying we what it was. How can it be the best today? And that's the same way I treat everything I do is what can we do today to make today better than it was yesterday? And so that's what we're going to try with tailgating. So, and hopefully the food gets better. I know the libations and the adult beverages were being well enjoyed that Saturday. So I commend those who enjoyed it as much as they did.
We've been through it all, so it definitely helps.
I want to go back to the house case, and y'all don't really have a clarity on where that's going to go, correct?
We don't. We have a lot of different directions. I don't think anybody was extremely surprised to see Judge Wilkins push back and ask for more details, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
There were still a lot of questions. A lot of people came back, and that was part of the process. Everybody knew that when they pushed that settlement in, hoping that this would be agreed upon, the reality is what they did is they allowed everybody some time to be able to start dissecting it.
Right.
And those that had questions and issues, and they presented those to the judge and to the group, and I think that's why we are where we are. I have worked in my previous place on more models than I can count. What we're starting to do now with my staff here is to do the same. What does it look like? What do we have to do if it goes this direction? If it goes that direction, okay, we got to understand it. We are not, my hope is not to say every day we're going to try to be at the same threshold as everybody in the SEC or everybody in the Big Ten. No, it's what is the most we can do to be the best we can be. And if that number is similar to some in those conferences or even those, I want to be the best in the Big 12. That is my goal. Now, to get there, we have to start somewhere. And so as everybody thinks about other institutions in the state, and it happens. We try, people compare themselves to the A&Ms and Texas, and that's fine. That's great. But the reality is we have to be the best we can be. I go back to what I said earlier. It's about figuring out when it comes to rev share, when it comes to those, we have to be the best. And for basketball, we have to be at a certain threshold. Let's do everything we can. If it's for football, we have to be here. If it's for men's golf, for women's golf, for baseball, for softball, whatever sport it is, we have to try to be there at that level.
Last thing, football scheduling. Obviously, the Big 12 has a model with FCS, FBS, P4. U of H has not played an FCS team in 3 years. Do you have a scheduling philosophy or a way you want to go about that? How active are you going to be in that scheduling?
I'm going to be very active, but I'm going to work in collaboration every day with Willie when it comes to football scheduling. I think for us, I have to understand how he wants to do it, how he feels he can maximize. At the end of the day, he's preparing his team for a set number of games. And so I'm not here just to basically throw everything, the kitchen sink at them if they're not at the level where we want them to be. And he'll tell you he's building a program. It takes time. And so for me to say, hey, let's go and add 3 Power Fives on top of everybody else we're playing, that's not realistic. So I think I changed my views, of course, going from LSU to New Mexico. We established that we were going to do an FCS, another group of 5, and a Power 5. That's how they had to do it. We had to do it there because we needed that money game. We needed to have a game that was going to get us going. And then we had to have a game that was going to challenge us every other year, but give us a chance to win if it was at home. That's that group of 5, or even if it was a smaller Power 5. So as we built the program, the problem is we're doing scheduling 5, 6, 7, 8 years in advance. And so I scheduled, I'll give you an example. Right now, they're playing one of the hardest schedules in the country, New Mexico. They're playing Arizona, Auburn. They started with Montana State. Montana State's one of the top 5 FCS. We scheduled them 8, I think it was my second year there. They had one of the worst records. We scheduled them not knowing it was going to be where it is. We had a coach that we just hired, 3 years later. We added Arizona. Auburn was already on schedule, thinking we would have the program in a certain position. Well, it didn't go. We had to make some changes. So sometimes it's not a perfect science. But for here, I think more than anything else, we have to challenge ourselves. We have to put ourselves in a position where we can be in consideration, not just for a Big 12 championship, but if we do that, then we're going to be in a position for CFP or something else even bigger or better. So for me, it's working with Willie. We haven't had an opportunity, honestly, with everything else going on. He and I sat down for lunch this past Thursday, had a great conversation about life and everything else. At some point, as we get closer to the middle, the end of the season, I'll sit down with him, talk a little bit more about scheduling. But my hope is to really challenge ourselves, but put ourselves in a position where we can win those games and bring opponents in here that our fans are going to enjoy to watch. I know they didn't know anything about UNLV. I might have been the only person in that stadium that knew how good they were. I mean, they won 9 games last year. They were conference champions. Their offense was pretty darn good. It's one of those that you don't want to see for the first game, but unfortunately, when that was scheduled, they weren't that good.
No.
All right. Thank you, Eddie. We appreciate it. That's Eddie Nunez, new AD for the Houston Cougars. Thank you, sir.
Really
Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Thank you, guys.
All right. That wasn't bad. I thought that was pretty good. I thought he gave detailed, specific answers where he could, and really, I just thought that was pretty good. What are your thoughts?
I'm all in. I mean, that got me really excited. The things that he emphasized, really kind of off the cuff and unprompted, are directly in line with what
it kind of went right down your checklist, didn't it?
Everything that I wanted to hear, and of course, he doesn't know me from Adam or anything. But
no, he doesn't.
It's got me really, really excited. It's got me fired up for it. I'm here for it. Any question I might have had, gone, and now I know exactly why he was chosen.
Yeah,
because it truly comes through, and it's no BS. I mean, it's real. Just I liked it. I liked it all.
Need to play more Louisiana teams. I think Eddie is going to see that LSU plays regional Louisiana teams every year. They just played Nichols. They played McNeese, I think, last year. That's part of their idea. And I think he will see that. He'll see local schools around here, but we'll also see that South Louisiana, Willie wants to recruit that area. And playing and getting media in those areas is just, it's a no-brainer. And so I think you will see that. And, I thought that everything that he said was in line with kind of the thoughts that you needed to make changes. And for a guy that's been here for 2 weeks, it sounds like he gets it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So from the top to, well, he doesn't even have a video.
Did he freeze?
Let's see. I don't know. Mike Pitman, Star Pizza. Well, that didn't go very well. Mike.
It looks like his camera might be frozen.
Yeah. We're going to kick him out and get rid of him. Yeah, that guy gets it. That was the thing that kind of pushed us on how we wanted to go in this interview was let's figure out if he gets it. And he did. And, it was a good bit better than I expected it to be. I don't understand, Mike. Do you not understand technology? What's happening?
That's one person who doesn't understand technology to anybody else.
Well, I went back and listened to the show last night, driving from Norman to Oklahoma City. And to everybody that said it sounded like I was burping, I get it. It really did. And that was, I don't know what to say, but it really did sound like I was burping nonstop.
Burping demon.
Yeah, I have no clue how that happened. We're going to get Mike here in just a second when we can get his whatever fixed camera life. Let's step back. What impressed you most about what you heard from Eddie specifically, Brad?
Well, other than the tailgating, which I've been talking about
harping
for
on
5 years. No, the thing that really stood out to me is his discussion of talking about partnerships and because talking about partnerships within the donor base, within the with the fans, and with the businesses around Houston. And I think that's really, really important because I think a lot of people in the search for raising money, in the search for trying to gain more revenue, it gets looked at as more of a transaction. And I think we've operated under the idea that we've been transaction based. We want X for X. But when you look at it from a line of a partnership, it's really a give and take that you're doing as much for us as we're doing for you, and we're all looking to make things better. And that also ties directly into his willingness to understand and listen to all voices. That's the thing that really stood out to me.
U of H has never been good at relationships with outsiders. They're very good at focusing on this small group of people and going to them for all the needs. But they've never thought about the partnerships and how can we benefit you? Like, if we give you some benefit, you're going to keep giving us the dollars that we need. Mm-hmm. And there's never been that long-term approach because there's, it's been a short-term job for so many people that they've never been invested enough to say, this is the future. Let's build this. Let's do something. Make a legacy. And it just hasn't been a strength.
And it also distances the feeling of our obligation marketing that we seem to be hell bent on doing for the last 30 years, that you should donate and you should spend and you should be here just because you should, because you went to U of H and you should do it because everybody else does it. And that's the only reason why they do it. No, there's people do things because they feel a connection. You know, college sports is a lot different than pro sports. Pro sports is a commodity. You go for that particular thing and you don't have any ties other than either you were born in the city or you decided that, you know, you want to be a glory hunter and jump on the Patriots bandwagon. Or now the Chiefs. But colleges, wins are going to come and go for, out of 130 teams, wins are going to come and go for, you know, everybody but about 8 or 9 teams. So what else is there? How do you keep everybody interested when you're 8-5 one year and you drop down to 5-7? The only way you can do that is to tap into those relationships, and like you said, the partnership, because it's, you know, it really is a two-way street.
Yeah, and I mean it's that way from the lowest fan, everything. He talked about communications, like the game day experience. That's one of those things that U of H has just never done well. They've never communicated, oh, here's an issue, we're handling it, or we're dealing with it, or we understand that it's an issue. I mean, traffic even, okay, like this weekend for volleyball, they alerted people to the fact that they were doing road work on 45, and it's probably going to affect you coming to U of H. Just be wary of that. And it was like, well, that's something new. But getting you from your driveway to the stadium, to your tailgate, and embracing that fact, and then all the things about getting into the stadium, the concessions, finding out about the bathrooms in a 300 level. I mean, no one's really listened to that ever since the stadium was built.
Been talked about quite a bit.
Been talked about, but you never thought that those people understood.
Well, when you talk about the communications from a game day perspective, I think the first time that you and I had gone to an LSU game, you're sitting there reading on your phone and listening on the radio of all the traffic scenarios that are going on currently, and this is before we even hit the bridge in Baton Rouge, but then also all the traffic issues that might be going on in different parking lots, the availability within parking lots. That's real-time information.
Yeah. And he said something about finding out there's all this parking, like in the red lot, there's a lot of spots that just aren't used. Well, how can they put that to use? And can you sell that game to game? And, you know, could you put more tailgates there? What he said about the student tailgates, they moved them from, for lack of a better word, like a kind of a median, but, you know, between the stadium and Cullen. And it was muddy there every single game. And it was a disaster. And nobody wanted to go there. They did. But now on Cullen, it makes so much more sense for the students. And the students really embraced that. There were a lot out there. It was a great situation. And so I think that's a real good thing. And, you know, it's encouraging to hear somebody in U of H leadership seem to get it. Let's look at a few comments, see if anybody is getting people in their seats early also. I saw this at OU yesterday. The entire bottom level was full well before the national anthem. And if you can get people there that early, and I mean, we're talking about 80,000 people. It was impressive. And it gives you just a different atmosphere when that game starts. He knows there's more fish in the sea. Give my hats off to your football team, poised and ready to take the game. Definitely going to start following Houston.
Thank you. And if you're in Houston, feel free to come out.
Okay, and there's your sales team right there, Brad Towns.
Hey, if we're getting the tailgate going on, the tailgate game, ramping up. We get all that back. I tell you, I had two of my good friends here in Houston didn't go to U of H. They went to different schools. They never wanted to come to a game. They didn't really care about the game, but they always would come for the tailgate and then go and watch football at Little Woodrow's.
So they came for the tailgate and they didn't stay for the game?
Yep.
Okay.
They bought tickets, so I was happy to hand them out.
Yeah. I am disappointed we are not connecting with Mike Pitman. He is struggling, or we're struggling. Who knows? Do you have anything you've thought about OU since last night? You watched any of it?
After watching it in replay and kind of slowing some things down and looking at some stuff, I'm more happy with the way that we performed. I mean, I guess I'm kind of a sunshine pumper last night. And
that's what I've always thought.
I'm even this is bizarro world. I can't believe that I'm seeing good things and other people are seeing the complete opposite. So I don't know, but I feel much better about the way we played last night, especially after watching kind of the game flow, the way things went. You know, the defense was even better than what I expected. I don't care how bad OU might be. They could end up being terrible. I don't care how bad they might be. Let's say that people think they're bad. If you hold a team like that with those kind of players to as little offensive production that they had last night, that's a phenomenal defensive job. I don't care if they had a bad game. I don't care if you think that they aren't any good. They are better physically.
Right.
And they are better players. But our guys were prepared and ready to go out and do the job. And I'm more than happy with that.
You pointed something out to me that I did not realize in real time. 5 missed tackles in the game.
Yeah.
We were charting games last year with 25 to 30 missed tackles. So to see 5 in a stadium like that, in that atmosphere, that's crazy. I guess Mike Pitman is here. Mike, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, we cannot see you, but we hear you. And that is significant progress.
Usually that's good for me, Mike. Usually they would rather hear me and not see me.
We can trade spots. I don't know, man. The camera's on. Everything's on. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So, Mike, everybody knows Star Pizza. Nobody knows who you are. So will you tell us, in your own words, what your relationship is with Star, how you got involved with U of H, how long have you been a fan? Like, give us the backstory there.
That's a lot of questions, and I'll try and remember all of them.
It sure is.
So I'm the director of operations at Star Pizza. I started in the mid-'90s. The connection with U of H, my parents went to U of H. My wife's parents went to U of H. Long time legacy there. So it's been our team forever. So when we decided we were going to try to get into NIL, obviously U of H was the spot.
And you were we were pretty early in NIL, but you were the first.
Absolutely.
And
well, yeah, if it was a quick decision, seeing there was none there, other schools seemed to have lots. U of H didn't have any. And when we just decided to turn the key, that was the way it was going to go. We're going to go right now and we're going to see what we can do. And it was the Wild West, and kind of still is to a certain extent, but that's kind of where we started. And the first, our first venture, reaching out to Marcus Sasser and Tremont Mark and winding up landing both of them for Star Pizza was unexpected, but really awesome, and started out some really nice long-time relationships.
I mean, it's a good place to start, and you eventually got to work up to Ryan Elvin.
Yeah. Well, right. And Ryan Elvin,
he's the real star. Come on.
Yeah. Well, he has been, and he's an incredible sport and loves to he's very open-minded and is open to what we want to do. So we've been real cool with working with Ryan Elvin, and hopefully we get to do it again. Coach Ryan Elvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Why did you get started with the NIL? Like, we had our reasons, but what was your reason?
Well, since it was new, there was nothing at U of H. It was a real cool way to build relationships with student athletes, support student athletes, and working our way through it is a different kind of marketing. And it really wasn't so much about the marketing for the business, but that was our platform. We had a big social media presence and sign on Washington Avenue, and working through things that way, using all the tools that we had available, it made it a lot of fun.
Should U of H gone for 2 that early in the third quarter?
Yes.
See, I like an answer like that. Just say yes.
It was either going to be a 2-point game, 1-point game, or what was the alternative? A tie?
Tie game, yeah. I agree with you, but
I didn't like it at the time, but when I heard Willie talk about it at the end, that I understand why he did. He's like, I don't know how many times we're going to get down here.
Right.
Okay? It makes sense. It ties in exactly with how the game plan played out. You know, the game plan was to make the game short, play keep away, and gut out a win. Came close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike, where are you going next with your NIL?
Good question. We just started working with Zion Taylor, U of H football.
Zion, like Lion, Zion. I got that explanation last week.
So our deal with Zion is going to hopefully be a really long one. Our journey to 50, our working together. His number turned out to be 50 this year when he got assigned a number. Star Pizza is about to be 50 years old. We want to try and tie some of that together and make it a long time thing. So he's around working with us when we hit our 50th anniversary. And this coming, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we have a previous NIL partnership with Layla Blair that's going to continue, and she's going to do some cool camera work for us and maybe do some stuff with Zion at the same time. She's got a film degree, and she wants to use it. So she came to us and said, is there something that I can do with you? And that was perfect. It just all tied together really well.
That's awesome. Do you think Kevin Barbe was too committed to the run?
No. Run sets up the pass.
Explain to me this chef special. How did that come to be? Why? Brad loves this thing.
You and the chef special.
I am fascinated by it. I'm not going to eat it, but I'm fascinated by it.
The chef special. So Armando is our head chef over at the main store. Okay. And when he says, hey, I want to start making this pizza, can we put it on the menu? And he sticks it in front of you and it's delicious. The answer is yes. So it's going on the menu. Now that it's on the menu, it gets a lot of the same thing that you're asking. What is it? Tell me about it. Why is there whipped cream on it? Well, it's not whipped cream. It's ricotta, which is delicious on pizza if you've never had it before. So
I thought it was icing.
Well, there you go. It can be whatever you want it to be, but it's really ricotta.
It's really heaven.
So
That's
is there
a good way to put it.
An item on your menu that does not get a lot of attention, or that maybe more people should be ordering?
Well, we have a new thin and crispy crust, which is fantastic. And well, I don't know. I'd say sandwiches. If you're going to ask me, our sandwiches are fantastic.
Okay. Jack Martin had one 2 weeks ago when we were there together, and he destroyed it. I don't remember. What did he eat? Do you remember?
If I recall, chicken bacon avocado.
Okay, that sounds about right.
And our pastas are incredible. The lasagna is homemade. Cannelloni is homemade. Both fantastic. Armando makes those too. So.
Okay. Andy
I
Yanez
can
commenting.
vouch for all those.
Mike, Joseph Kim is from.
I liked Andy's comment, by the way. Good idea.
Joseph Kim is from Oklahoma. Jack Martin is from Alabama. Liam Doherty is from Australia. Why does U of H have to import kickers?
I don't know. Good question. I thought about that when I was a kid. We used to kick field goals at Rice Stadium when I was a kid. And the more you grow up, the harder it seems. It seemed really easy when we were little. But I don't know. Good question. But right now, I told Joseph Kim today, I think the score for the season so far is Joseph Kim 7, U of H 12.
Well, Joseph Manjack 12, Joseph Kim 7.
Yeah. There you
19
go.
total points. Not great, but yeah, Joseph Kim. Why have you gotten involved with the specialists?
Last year, it's kind of, I don't know if it's putting our cards on our sleeve or whatever the phrase is. We worked with Ryan Elvin for so long. Being a walk-on really kind of gave us the idea to work with the specialists. A lot of those guys are not on scholarship. They're a crew of mostly walk-ons. I don't know about this year, but last year they for sure were. And finding something to do with all of them. When I reached out to Gavin Gately last year, I was a little surprised with the amount of, I guess, respect that they showed to the opportunity to have somebody support them. I knew they did a Thursday night dinner every week before a game, just to sort of get their crew together, get their heads together, and spend some quality time with their unit. And I thought that was kind of neat. So when we decided to support them on that Thursday night meal trip, wherever it was, they were real appreciative, and we were real happy to work with them.
What did you think about last night, about how U of H played?
With a lot of heart. If you go into some place like Norman, Oklahoma, and you're supposed to get blown out, and you don't get blown out, and you're competitive, and people start to raise questions about Oklahoma, that's cool. So I thought I thought we showed a lot of spirit. Everybody played, I thought, a lot smarter than the first game.
Okay. We have a comment. Do you sell Star Pizza at TDCU, and why not?
Not yet. Good question. Set me up with who to talk to, and maybe we can do that. Now that
the guy that was just on
is there, yeah, I guess so. Well,
yeah, I got a new best friend that we can make that introduction and we see if we can make things happen. He's looking for some partners.
Yes,
and
partners.
I know who to connect
throw
him
around
with.
The term best friend pretty loosely there.
It really does. It's sad, is what it is. All right, Mike Pitman, Star Pizza, Tuesdays and Fridays, buffet. They hate to see towns coming. Just not what they're looking for on buffet day.
Dude,
but we appreciate it.
What, those chef specials, I had 3 of them. I had half of that little pizza last night. I'm sitting there thinking, how's this gonna fill me up? Then I picked it up and it was like, oh Jesus, this is like 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I had 3 pieces and I was packed. So if that's on the buffet and I eat that, I'm only having 3.
Yeah, nap time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, Mike, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you.
And thanks for what you do.
Yes,
there you go.
For everything.
Thanks.
Mike Pitman refuses to show himself on camera from parts unknown. Appreciate that.
We're going to have Mike back another time, and we're going to do a really cool reveal for him.
I think that would be awesome. I mean, he's done things, but yeah.
We got to get him some intro music and some lights. Get him a special intro for it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So he said he started in the mid 90s, but he actually started as a delivery driver and then got into management about 5 years later and has stuck with that company for that long. And I think that's pretty cool.
Really cool.
I think that guy is awesome. I love what Star Pizza's, they work with us. They sponsor us. They sponsor Pod Slam and Jamma, which is great. But what they're doing with U of H athletes is something you just don't see. Guys have had really big national sort of NIL things. Emmanuel and Jamal had Freddy's Burgers last year. Somebody had an Exxon deal. Really big stuff. But small companies have not done that much with NIL. And I think Star Pizza is kind of ahead of the curve here. And they have looked for interesting stories and different things. They had Hawk from the football team, Ryan Elvin. Obviously, when you can get Marcus Sasser and Tremont Mark, you go get them. But obviously, the NIL has changed a little bit. And so that's probably not going to happen in the future. But they said, we're just going to do it. And we're just going to see what happens. And that's my kind of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it goes to kind of what Eddie had touched upon, and we've talked about it in previous podcasts. We've talked about it on message boards. We even saw it here in the chat. Is that we spend a lot of time going out whale hunting. That okay, well we couldn't get these Fortune 500s. It just can't be done. So woe was me. But it was refreshing to hear that. Yeah, we'll definitely do stuff with companies like that. But there's a million different kinds of local smaller companies. People just like Mike, people that are passionate about U of H, who just have been on the out for one reason or another. They've never been approached.
Well, these people don't have $1 million advertising marketing budgets, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Mike and businesses on this level are doing it. They've got to get bang for that buck. And I think smaller companies like them could maybe band together and work together. Trill is getting a whole bunch of run because of the guy who runs it, who owns it. And that's how that business became a big deal in this city. And that's why it was written about by everybody when they put the tender stand at TDECU. But other companies aren't getting that. And so they've got to be really smart about their marketing. And Mike decided we're going to just try something a little different. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. But it's theirs and they own it. And I love what they're doing. And I appreciate that so much. I really love the spirit of we're just going to do whatever we want. Towns, when I'm in town, we're hitting up Star. Two Brad's shutting it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good luck.
Brad squared. Look out.
This is true. I have not heard about this today, like what happened with it, how that went off the tournament today, or if it's tournament, if it's just playing. I'm really curious about how that went. Thank you. That's Mike with Hoop and Holler and Star Pizza. So two fun guests. I learned a lot with Eddie. I'm going to go back and listen to it to see if I missed anything. But I was quite impressed with what he had to say, the answers he gave, and he didn't back away from any question. In the past, ADs have each had their own way of dealing with the media. Most of them ran away from it. They didn't want to do it. Eddie is, no, come on, bring it. Some have required questions in advance, which is just, you don't do. We're not going to do. Eddie never asked. And so appreciate that. Appreciate you, is an AD usually going to come on a situation like this? No, but he didn't have a problem with it. We asked this week. We were approved for it 24 hours later. And I mean, that just does not happen. And so I appreciate him. I appreciate him answering every question and not ducking any. And, you know, that's refreshing.
Well, and I was really excited to when everything that we've seen, a lot of things that we've seen kind of the broad strokes, and we've seen kind of the bigger, kind of more rounded position of, you know, we're going to do things well. We're going to do this, you know, things of that nature. It was really good. It was really great to hear a little bit more detail. It's good. It was good to hear, and, you know, we know what his background is. Most of the stuff talks about, you know, what he did previously here and here and here. And I hope it came across to everybody of what he sees he can do here at U of H and what he truly wants to do. Because we all know that we want more revenue.
Right.
We want to grow our brand. But we got some insight into the thought process of how we're going to go about doing these things. And that got me really, really excited. You know, like
hearing that everybody that works for him has to buy into the same vision of, we're going to go out there and we're going to be amongst the fans. We're going to be amongst the people that are in our parking lots, that are in our stadiums. It's like, whoa, what a great idea. No one's ever thought of that. But it's revolutionary when you hear it here, just because it's never been done. Mm-hmm. And that got me excited for just thinking he gets it. And mm-hmm. I appreciate that. We have a question that I am excited about. Did you notice last night the tight end combos? Yes. Cedric Melton, Jaden York, Malik Carr, all in the field at the same time, the same play.
Mm-hmm.
You've got them two on the right, one on the left. The two on the right come inside and block. Jaden York goes out for a pass. The next third down, Malik and Jaden were on the same side. Jaden kind of splits out and draws defenders where Malik goes up the field 5 yards, catches a pass, converting third downs. Third and short, you're putting tight ends out there and doing different things with them, confusing the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, and I enjoyed seeing the tight ends get involved. I think Cedric Melton is going to be thrown at and catch a pass soon. He played some tight end in high school. I think you're just going to see it. So I'm excited about what you're going to see from that. Did you see any trick plays yesterday? You saw several in the first game, but I don't remember any yesterday.
I wouldn't call it a trick play, but that cool third down.
Yes, the run up to the line, kind of pretend like you're barking signals and take a quick snap.
He stepped back, put his hands over his ears, walked up like he's going to call an audible, and the entire defense got on one knee and they're turned around talking to each other, and he just slides up underneath center and gets first down.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I love things like that.
Yeah. There were some different wrinkles from Kevin Barbay. A lot of people just worried about the run, but you saw some different things. And you've got to see that stack week to week. But I think there was some good there, and there's positives to build on for this coming week. The offensive line seemed more potent. Yeah. A lot of people were crashing the offensive line, and they had a decent day. I would not call it a great day. There were still very big issues in the run game, but, you know, they're not going to go from 0 to 100 in a week. But if they can make steady improvement, that's something.
And I think their play improved as play calling was better, and the game plan suited the players. Now we were we're trying to get every yard we possibly can when we run the ball. But we know that if we show the run, we can open up small seams in the passing game. But in the passing game, we also know that we don't have the time to go back, 5-7 steps and try to get the ball 20, 30 yards downfield because we can't hold the blocks that long. So they're not asking the players to do things that, hey, if you were a great player, you should be able to do this, and you suck because you can't execute that. They're saying, we know the guy's limitations. We're going to try to minimize those limitations and play to things that we think that they can do, which means get the ball out really quick. And we were more effective in doing that.
Yep. We're going to be on campus all week with football practice in the morning, and then Willie does his media at lunch. I think Wednesday is the Bayou Bucket Luncheon. It might be Tuesday, but be at practice Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you play Rice Saturday. And tomorrow you'll find out the game time for the Cincinnati game. So a lot going on. We'll talk to assistant coaches. We'll talk to players. I think you're going to see something from Joseph Kim on the GoCougs.com this week. I am excited about him. I loved what he did, how cool he was. I mean, he went back. I mean, he's from Lawton, Oklahoma. It's right there. And that was that's just a big deal to go back to your home state, kick in front of your friends and family. He told me last week, I asked him, are you going to have a lot of family in the game? And he's like, oh, yeah, we're going to have a lot of people. So that was awesome that he got to play in front of those people. That's just one of those stories. I like when guys get to go home and play in front of their friends and their family. You saw Jamal Morris make some impact plays. Latrell McCutcheon was in there. Devon Williams had a really big game called back because of a hold. Marquise Shoulders was in there quite a bit. So a lot of guys went back to Oklahoma and got to stand out and do some things. So that's it for us this week. GoCougs.com will be doing things all week. Another great 2 interviews. This model is entertaining. Player or internal person, and then a U of H sponsor. I just wanted to kind of talk shit to Mike Pitman a little bit because I like the guy. I wanted to highlight what he's doing in NIL, and then we get to help a sponsor. See, that's called partnership, Brad. And that's what you should do. Yes. So that was it. And yes, Joseph Kim, 43 and 44 yards or 42, one or the other. Good kicks, not from the 10-yard line. So, all right. Cougar volleyball getting warmed up. I went to the game Thursday night. When they lost Louisiana, I just did not look the same as they looked last year. I don't know a damn thing about volleyball. I want to learn about volleyball, and then everything else gets in the way. But I'm committed. I'm in for volleyball season. It's just a fun situation, and it's a fun game, a match to go to. So we'll keep that on the radar. Appreciate y'all so much. Great show. It's been a vibe. All right. Thank you so much. GoCougs.com. Talking about them Cougars. Cats after the game. No conference for old men. Got a great things coming up. We're going to do some things. We're going to bring Eddie back for basketball season and talk to him about his basketball life. And he has been a sports administrator for basketball programs where he's been LSU, maybe Vanderbilt. And, he was at a school, New Mexico, where the basketball was a big thing and the football was kind of, and, right now he's in that same situation. What is it for an AD doing that? How do you deal with that, deal with the egos? I'm just curious to what he has to say about that. And he'll know more about the job he's in, and he'll be able to give us more details of kind of where he's going. If that's okay with you.
It's okay with me. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and the result wasn't what we wanted last night when it comes to the scoreboard. But I hope fans saw what this is turning into. Everybody talks about it within football, that your biggest improvement is between week 1 and week 2. If this holds, this team is going to be pretty good in time. Might not be this year. Let's not push anything, but you can see where we're going. And now after that game, should be hopefully everybody kind of sweat out the bad stuff from last night and can see the game for what it truly was. After hearing Eddie talk, we are in a damn good place. I've never been more excited about being a U of H fan than right now.
Who are you?
I don't know.
That was weird.
Well, I mean, you get it. We've got 3 people that are at the top of the food chain in Eddie
Me?
and Willie, and definitely not you.
No.
Although you do a damn good job. I just don't like to tell you.
Thank you.
But you got
Appreciate that.
You got Eddie and you got Willie and you got Kelvin. With these 3 guys at the top, we've got 3 people that have the ability to make big things happen, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm bought in. These guys got me. And tonight went a long way to doing that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much. GoCougs.com. Appreciate you so much.